you're looking at these charts and you're testing out a new strategy, it's really hard to know how this is going to work out for you. Now, I often compare it to the casino. And the reason for that is because we know most people lose trading Forex. And oftentimes you hear people say you have a 50-50 shot at winning just by flipping a coin. What you can do to improve your odds is you mark your areas up where you know you can see on the chart where prices reacted before. So you start developing an idea on where it can change direction. So when you start doing things like that, so we know supply and demand areas, price often changes direction. It doesn't always do that. And we also know when structure has been broken, oftentimes it'll be retested before heading in its intended direction. So we mark our areas up and we look for an entry pattern when price comes into these areas. Now, you can do this strictly off the 1 hour, or you could drop down to the 1 minute and you can look for an entry pattern. Now, when you do things like this, it's no longer a 50-50 shot. You're putting the odds in your favor. It's like you're like that guy that has the ability to count cards walking into a casino. Does it mean he's going to win? It might not. Does he have better odds of winning than the guy that doesn't count cards? I think he does. So having a plan and following it is going to help you. Now, you have to remember about this as well. So here we have supply and demand and retesting. You might just want to stick with supply and demand or a retest strategy, a break and retest, or whatever else you want to try. Because the problem is, the more things you add into your system, the more losses that you can take on at one time. So if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 different strategies and they all work on their own, you've already proven that they work, but you've added in too many different things. Maybe this month nothing is performing well for you, so you're taking losses on everything. Now if it was just supply and demand or just the break and retest strategy or something else, you might be able to handle this no problem. You could handle the 6, 7 losses in a row. But if you have a variety of different strategies and they're all suffering, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to give up it? Stop trading Forex? Say it's a scam? The more things that you do, the harder it's going to be. So just simplify your trading strategy. Follow your rules. Don't keep adjusting them. Just stick to it, because oftentimes you'll see price come into an area, and then when you back test it, maybe you'll notice on the 1 minute that it didn't give you the entry pattern that you would have taken, but it had this phenomenal run, and now you're adjusting it. Now you're saying, okay, I'll take a trade whenever it does this now. And then you see something else somewhere else, and you decide to add that into the plan as well. And then eventually what happens is you don't really know why you're taking so many losses. You're having a hard time refining it. Stick to a couple simple entry patterns and don't adjust it. Accept the losses, even the ones that you didn't even get into. So when you miss a trade, just take note of it. Don't feel like you lost out on it. There's going to be plenty of opportunities, but you can see now, even on this 1 hour, there's lots of opportunities that come available. And this is just on one pair. There's so many different ways to trade, but you need to stick to a simple plan and repeat the process over and over again. And if you do that, this could end up working out better for you. There's nothing guaranteed, but you're just trying to put the odds in your favor. You're trying to beat the house by knowing where price has a tendency to change direction, that's an advantage. But most people aren't going to follow it. So if you can stick to that and test it out long enough before actually trading the live market, prove that it can work before going further with it. If you do this, you may speed up the time to start trading profitably. There's no guarantee on anything. 1 month might be phenomenal, and then the next month might be awful. But you need a solid plan, especially if some of you want to trade for prop firms. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take a look at the 1 minute and see if there could have been an entry pattern here. Now, let's take a look here and drop down to the 1 minute. So you can see when it first came back into the area. Now, when you're looking at this, do you see an entry pattern there? Or possibly over here. So, could have easily gotten in on something like this. Now, it doesn't mean that this would have worked out. It could have just kept going in the other direction, but you can see the type of patterns that can happen. And you have to decide what you want to try. Now, let's take a look here. Take a look at another one. See, price came in to retest this old area that it broke structure on. And if we drop down to the 1 minute, we can take a look. Let's see how price came down. And you need to decide where a good spot to get in on a trade. Now, this was a good engulfing pattern right there. Could have gotten in on that. I don't see I'm not sure if I would have considered this a spot. And this one right here, it wasn't a very strong signal, but you get the idea. See how it comes down, and you have to decide how far your stop loss is going to be when you take these trades. But it came right into the area and reacted. And then you just have to decide what type of pattern you want to get in on to try to target the high or another profit target that you have in mind. And if you don't like trading, if you have a hard time doing that on the lower time frame, there's other things that you can do as well. So when you're looking at this on the chart, you can look for different types of reactions. Now, as an example, you can see the reaction here with the long wick. And that could be an entry pattern right there. And if you did something like that, and you were just trading off the 1 hour, and you didn't want to go down to the 1 minute. So at the close of the candle, this could be an aggressive move. And you got in on the trade, you target the high, and just below the low. And you see in this case, it wouldn't have worked out. But if you would have managed your trade, so if you were doing, you see at this point, when you hit a 1-to-1, you could move your stop loss to break even. You could take partials. You hit 1-to-2, you could do the same as well. You could take another partial. And if you did something like that, that could work out in your favor. Now, we can see again how price came in to this area where we were showing you earlier on the 1 minute possible entry patterns. So price comes into the area, and what I pay attention to is when it comes into this area, I also notice that the body hasn't closed below the body of previous structure that it broke. And because it hasn't done that, that has me thinking that it's going to change direction. Now, it doesn't mean that it will, but these are the type of things that I look at. And in this case, you see it's wicked down a second time and then went in the opposite direction. Again, if we want to use that as an example, now when you're looking at this, you can see again that it wicked into the demand area, but the body never closed within the candle itself. And that was giving me a clue that it may change direction, that it may not have any interest in pushing any further down. I have no idea where it's going to go at that point. I'm just starting to build information that's telling me that it may change direction. And when we're looking at this, we go through it again, you can see again, price came into the area, wicks touching it, body never pushing into it, changing direction. And this happens over and over again. You can see price pushed through it, but later bounced off of it. So this might not have been a great signal here, but you could see this one was. Price came down, broke previous structure, came back and retested it. And again, you can see that the body never closed into the body of the structure that it was retesting. So little clues like that may help you a little bit. Now, you need to practice everything. And the more that you do this, the better you're going to get at it. If you have any questions about this, just leave me a comment. And until next time, bye for now.